I'm Tom Grossi, a New York City comedian and diehard Green Bay Packers fan for almost 20 years.
In the end zone, it is caught for the win. Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. A game ender for the Packers.
In 2015, I created a podcast where each week I talk to fans from opposing teams to share their story and to get yelled at for about an hour for being a Packers fan. Last year, I met amazing people and went to amazing places. And this year, I'm ready to do it all over again.
Make no mistake about it, I will be remembered as a Packer.
Enjoy the show. Grossi Posse Packer Nation! Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't need to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. That little video clip, or audio clip, depending on how you're listening to Packcast, was just me screaming my lungs out during the Packers-Giants game, in which the Packers defeated the Giants very handedly, 38-13. So, this was an incredible game, but before we even touch the game, due to, as you can see from the video, I was there. And this was a trip that I will never forget. It was an incredible game. But I am literally the embodiment of pure exhaustion right now. Let me kind of break it down of what my day was yesterday. So, if you live on the East Coast, you know that we got hit by a snowstorm. One that canceled just about every single flight. So the flight that was supposed to leave at 6 a.m. from Westchester County, which is around the corner from my house, now decided to get canceled on Saturday afternoon, which means that I had to scramble and then have to look up another flight, which was 2.5 hours away. So I had to drive up to Albany. So waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, driving up 2.5 hours, taking a 2-hour flight over to Chicago for an hour layover, then taking an hour flight over to Milwaukee, then driving from Milwaukee 2 hours to Green Bay, Wisconsin, standing out in the freezing cold where the wind chill was 2 degrees for about 4 to 5 hours, winning, screaming my head off, and then driving 2 hours back to Milwaukee, waking up this morning, and here I am back home. And damn was it worth it. Holy mackerel. That first half was terrifying because that was so bad. And I started reminiscing a little bit. The PTSD came back from the Giants, and I was like, oh, no. Rodgers, our offense, could do nothing against the Giants' defense. And this was a big talking point going in of how good the Giants' defense actually was. However, Aaron Rodgers decided to be Aaron Rodgers in the last 2 drives before the half. First, an amazing touchdown pass to Davante Adams, and then even better, the third Hail Mary in less than a year. Aaron Rodgers delivered a perfect ball to Randall Cobb, and it wasn't even contested. It went over all the defenders and landed right in his hands, and he gracefully fell to the ground. Amazing way to end the half, and that was really a huge shift as the Packers got the ball at the beginning of the third quarter. They didn't really do much with it, but it was a big shift. They went for it on 4th and 1, and me, along with a lot of other screaming Packer fans, were screaming to go for it, and they went for it and didn't get it. And they said, why'd you listen to us? That was a terrible idea. But Aaron Rodgers continuing this amazing run. He hasn't thrown a pick in, I think it's 7 games. I think he's 19 TDs, 0 interceptions. Yesterday, he was 25 for 40, 362 yards with 4 touchdowns. Randall freaking Cobb. And we just talked about how he has been absent this season. And there was people talking about getting rid of him, how ineffective he was. We have all these other receivers. Well, he was back yesterday with a vengeance. He had 116 yards on 5 catches. 3 of them were touchdowns. 3 out of 5 of his catches were for touchdowns. He pulled a hat trick. An amazing day by Randall Cobb. Davante Adams, it was great too. 8 for 125 for 1 TD. And it was really a story of 2 different halves because the first half, you struggled to move the ball. You couldn't get it against the defense. You felt like the Giants were just one big play away. Their receivers dropped a bunch of would-be touchdowns, and it didn't look like the Packers defense was really going to be able to stop them, holding them to 2 field goals. And then we just opened up the floodgates. The Giants responded quickly by scoring a touchdown to King, which I thought, oh man, here we go, shootout time. But then that was it. They scored one touchdown on our defense. So our hat has to go off to Dom Capers. It really does. We trash him all the time. Packers fan trash him all the time, but we really made Eli Manning uncomfortable. We kept pressure on him, and Gunter played amazing too. Odell Beckham was held to almost nothing, and he punched a hole in the Lambeau Field locker room afterwards, which just makes me feel great inside. As we were talking about with our Giants fan, and how like his off the field antics, the trip to Miami was such a focal point. I mean, now you just got something else to go along with his legend, but now he can complain from the couch, which is just utterly fantastic. Of course, one of the big news coming out from yesterday's game, Jordy Nelson had a vicious hit. He took a helmet shot right to the ribs, and I was right behind the Packers bench, 22 rows back, and he was down for a while, and it was ugly. So they're worried about him. He is out of the hospital today, though. There is actually, believe it or not, still potential that he could play on Sunday. If he does not practice on Saturday, he's not going to play. So we'll know by the end of the week, and with McCarthy's press conference on Wednesday, we'll have an idea. But everybody, of course, is kind of offering good thoughts to Jordy, and hopefully he gets well soon. But he was taken out pretty early in the game. Ty Montgomery had a scary injury too, and he was down on the field, but he actually came right back into the game. Kristen Michael had an amazing game. I mean, the guy, it's not like incredible numbers, but I mean, he was 10 for 47, and just feel like every time he got the ball, or just about every time he got the ball, he ran with purpose. He was good downfield running. Ty Montgomery, 11 for 27. And I mean, talking about the defense, of course, Manning, 23 for 44, 299, 1 TD, also had the pick at the end, which was just great. And I love how Randall you were thinking, okay, you're just going to get, just going to walk out of the end zone, but decide, no, I'm going to run this thing back. It was amazing. This was one of those games that McCarthy was not conservative in any way, shape, or form. He was aggressive, going for it on fourth down, not running up the score, but making sure that the Giants couldn't catch up. And it was just an all-around great second half for the Packers. They held them to less than 100 yards rushing, as the rushing attack was something that was definitely talked about coming into this game and how important it was going to be to stop it. But Rodgers, man, I mean, along with thousands of other Packer fans were chanting MVP, because that guy has just been putting on a clinic these past 7 games. And it was just incredible to watch. Also, in other playoff news, you see all the Seahawks beat the Lions, and you know what? I was rooting for the Lions. I was rooting for another NFC North team, and now I know what it's like to be a Lions fan for 30 seconds, because that was terrible. That was really, really bad. And they were in that game until the third quarter, or the end of the third quarter, and then the Seahawks were just, nope, we're gonna pull away and win this thing. So Seattle is going on to Atlanta. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, in a terrible game, the Texans and the Raiders, which we all thought was going to be a 5-star game, turned out that the Texans' defense really held them to their own. Their defense is going to be scary when they get J.J. Watt back, because they might not have an offense. They might not be able to score anything, but it's going to be pretty impressive when they have when their defense is at full strength. So look out for that next season, and the Texans potentially making some moves. But again, they don't have the quarterback right now. Brock Osweiler performed admirably, but again, he didn't have to do too much. He shows those flashes of, oh man, I could be pretty good, and then he just throws things that are nowhere near anybody. You also had the Steelers. I didn't see this game, but I heard the Steelers just beat up on the poor Dolphins, and it was over after the first quarter. So the Steelers are going to face the Chiefs, which should be an amazing game. The Patriots are playing the Texans, which should not be an amazing game any way, shape, or form. Looking ahead, though, the Seahawks and the Falcons, that should be a great game, and one that I don't know how to feel about it. If you've watched this show just about ever, you know how much I hate the Seahawks. Like, I hate the Seahawks. And I think they match up well with the Falcons. I'm not a big believer in the Falcons. If it's a shootout, Falcons win, no problem. However, if the Seahawks pull off a win, which I think is very possible, give you this scenario. Seahawks win, Packers win, the NFC Championship is again played in Seattle. I don't know how I feel about that. There's a part of me that's like, yes, redemption. This is our time. We could get them back for 2014. And the other half of me is like, please God, no, because that part of me is just terrified that even though we beat up on them this year, I'm still terrified because they're a different team at home. They really are. And so before we even get to talking about NFC Championship game, though, Cowboys. This is a matchup that's going to be incredible. I looked up ticket prices just to see. And the cheapest tickets were nosebleed, in which you're like touching the airplanes, and it was like $365. So that's I'm most likely not going to that game, but it's going to be an incredible game. I think that the Packers and Cowboys match up very well. It's all going to be about the defense limiting what Dak Prescott, what Ezekiel Elliott can do. If they can do that, then I think the Packers can win the game. Because again, looking at the defenses that are left, I would rank the Giants were the top defense left in the NFC who were in the playoffs. Now that we've knocked them off, I don't think there's any defense. Maybe Seattle at home, maybe. But again, I think that Rodgers can go up against any one of these defenses for any of these NFC teams and knock them off. So if we get past the Cowboys, that I think, I mean, you got to think there's a really good chance we go to the Super Bowl, because the Packers and Falcons, if that potential matchup could be amazing too, because that will just be a shootout like it was earlier this season where they lost by 1 point, and that was minus some people. So, I mean, this has the potential. This is where it gets exciting. The divisional matchups are usually really good, except the Patriots and Texans. No one wants to watch that game. But every other game this weekend is going to be absolutely incredible. This weekend, most of the games all the games were really one-sided. The Packers and Giants was a little close, at least until the fourth quarter, where the Packers started pulling away. But I mean, what do you think? There's again, like, I want to go into Seattle and beat them in the NFC Championship game. I could finally like get that chip off my shoulder, finally get some redemption. But the other part of me is like, no, I just want to play the Falcons and call it a day. What do you think? Let me know. Of course, the other big news is that the puppy is now 7-0. Now listen, I want to address something, because there were some people out there that were making some comments. First of all, there were some threats to the puppy, and no, I will Liam Neeson your ass. Don't even talk about my puppy like that. But sorry. There were some comments that said, Tom, oh my God, you left the puppy. Tom, the puppy's not with you. You're losing the magic. Listen, guys, I had to go and spread the message of the puppy to the Packers. It obviously worked. I'd love to do that in Dallas. Probably not going to be able to afford to do that, though. So we're just going to stay home with puppy. But the puppy is 7-0. We're running a different table. So it's a different table because it's the playoff table. But we're going to run that damn table. And the puppy's going to help us. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossi Comedy, or you can find me at Tom Grossi Comedy on Twitter. Packcast, Packast, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Google Music. We're on all of those. The YouTube is a once a week. Also, this Thursday, we'll have our interview with a Cowboys fan. Should be a juicy episode. Looking forward to it, as this should be a really great game. And I hope that, again, that this run can continue, because I am just loving the fact that we haven't lost in almost 2 months. This feels really good. I feel like I should knock on wood. I think that's fake wood, but it's close enough. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Thursday on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Music, we will have our interview with the Cowboys fan. Let me know what you think. What did you think of the game? Also, what do you think about a potential matchup with the Seahawks? I know I'm thinking ahead, and we still have to go through the Cowboys, but like 2 more games and we're in the Super Bowl. Like, this is so exciting. I'm excited to be excited. Damn, I love this team. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack Go.